Hi.
Hi.
At least there's some little bit of food. You guys can eat some berries and carrots.
You have the agenda? They got the town council.
There we go.
Was not exciting.
If you can believe it.
I know. It's a good way to use that.
How you doing?
Right?
How are you?
Right?
How are you?
How about you?
Good, how about you?
Okay.
Everybody have their motion sheets? Right, right. Yeah. Was it unexpected? Nope, no idea why.
I could read it. There you go. We let you take it.
Official.
Thank you.
It's like the only gift.
Fancy.
Council's up by the nameplate saying she's official.
Exciting. It's official.
There's no backing out now. You're official.
That's so cute. Please rise for the salute to the flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Davidson.
Here.
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 Here. Here.
Here.
Agenda item D, Board of Education regular meeting minutes from September 14th. All board members should have received the minutes in their Friday packet. Are there any questions on the minutes? Okay, do you have a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve of the minutes from the September 14, 2015 regular meeting of the Board of Education as submitted.
Thank you, Mrs. Wilk. Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I do.
Carries. One abstention, Mr. Orsini, thank you. Motion carries. Tonight is a very special evening, one that I know my fellow board members look forward to very much when we recognize the best of our employees. Tonight, the Watertown Board of Education wishes to recognize and congratulate Watertown's Paraprofessional of the Year, Mrs. Diane Bigham. It is a pleasure to announce her as our Paraprofessional of the Year. She has grown up in Watertown. She attended the Watertown Public Schools and holds an associate's degree in early childhood education. Diane takes on many roles in our school district. She's in an integrated classroom within the Just Friends preschool program at John Primary School. She assists the teachers in supporting students in a variety of settings, is an extremely conscientious employee, works in small groups to support learning and achievement of students. In addition to her being very conscientious, some of her strengths include being a super organizer and extremely dependable. She always has a smile, she's willing to learn and try new things. She has a positive rapport with students and with all of her colleagues. In her free time, Diane enjoys spending time with her family and trying and sharing new recipes. She is truly an asset to John Trumbull Primary School and to the Watertown Public School District. So on behalf of the Watertown Board of Education, I want to thank you for your dedication to our schools and congratulate you.
Congratulations, thank you. Thank you.
I hope that you'll all join us immediately following the adjournment of the Board of Education meeting for a special reception in Diane's honor. Moving on to item F, report from our Student Council representative, Ms. Mancini.
Good evening, Board of Education and community members. This week at John Trumbull Primary School, students in writing class are learning how to craft powerful endings to their stories. They are also rereading their own writing like detectives, looking for capital letters and punctuation, and making sure their writing sounds correct and makes sense. In math, second graders are learning how to subtract from 10 and solve two-step problems. At Polk School, the first Golden Bucket winners of the school year were announced. Teachers continued to administer the fall benchmark test, and the end of the assessment window is near. Staff are getting ready to design small group interventions using this data. At Judson, Mrs. Matthews' fourth grade class participated in an outdoor science program at Flanders Nature Center. Flanders Academy is an interdistrict grant program funded by the Connecticut State Department of Education. These programs offer the opportunity for students to take discovery hikes, engage in wildlife observation, and collaborate in interactive environmental science activities. A planning meeting for Taft Community Day was held this week with staff members from Taft School. Third graders will be involved in these various activities upcoming on October 13th. Swift students participated in their first SSP meeting of the school year. The meeting entailed icebreakers for both students and teachers in each group. Students also completed a self-esteem survey and decorated a star with symbols and phrases that represented their ideas and goals. At Watertown High School, the freshman counseling workshop class finished their study skills and time management unit and are now moving on to bullying and cyberbullying awareness and prevention. Senior Parent Night / Financial Aid Night will be held on October 6th. Guidance counselors will discuss the need-to-knows about applying to college, and a Naugatuck Valley Community College representative from the Financial Aid Office will be there to present. That is all for this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karina. Very good job. Again, I will say, as last week, you cannot tell that you're new at this.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on to agenda letter G, Superintendent's Recommendation and Report. Director Caramola?
Karina, you're doing too good of a job taking away some of the things from my report.
Oh, sorry about that.
Thank you. Just shorten it for me. A couple of things that are new information. We are finally in the midst of being able to hire, we were short one first grade teacher at, I don't know if they can hear me. We were short one first grade teacher at John Trumbull. We have someone slotted to start October 5th. We had a sub in that position until this point. I finalized that hiring this past week. See on the agenda, I want to thank Annette Petro, who works at this every year and once again put in for a grant for us from the Connecticut Community Foundation for the preschool collaboration and the Watertown Family Resource Center programs. We were awarded $8,885 through that grant, and that helps us. I've seen some of the work that's done there in pre-K. I've attended meetings there with Ms. Petro and the rest of our pre-K teachers and paraprofessionals, and that's a community partnership between our school district and the centers that exist in town that provide pre-K, so that we are able to balance out that some of the same work and strategies is going on both in our pre-K and in the centers out on the outside, which is good for us in the long run, because when students enter our kindergarten, whether or not they went to our pre-K, they're coming in with some of the same foundations. So I want to thank Mrs. Mecca and Mrs. Petro for doing that for us again. Also, we had another grant we received from the State Department of Ed. Again, remember we had coaching days last year that were awarded by the State Department of Ed for implementation of the Common Core state standards. We've received a grant again for the maximum days that they would allow this year. It was 50 days last year. We were given 28 days this year. Dr. Parlato, again, thank you for the work that's been done there. And we will begin working this year, more particularly in grades 6 through 12, as we focused a lot on K through 5 last year with those coaching days. The people that will come from the state will help us this year mostly with our professional development related to learning targets. In other words, the more specific way that we are looking at instruction, not just teaching objectives, but as learning targets that are, as a result of this lesson, what will you walk away able to do, know, and do today as a student? We'll be talking a little bit more about that when we do some of the presentation about the planning for the coming year, but kind of keep in the back of your mind that that's what the people who are coming in to coach will be used for, and that is entirely at no cost to us. I've been out in the past week at both Polk and Judson, had 2 good days at both schools, spent more time at Polk, honestly, than I did at Judson this week because I had something that had to bring me back to the office. I missed a couple of hours at Judson, but I was at Polk for the entire day. I still managed to see every class at both schools because of the time of day that I got to Judson. I got lucky and it wasn't the time when they were out in specials. So I was excited to see, actually going back to the learning targets, that our teachers are doing a lot with them just from the little bit of professional development that we've had so far on it. It's a noticeable change for us to be thinking about the learning in a particular lesson. So again, I feel like I'm dropping hints there about what's to come, but I had 2 excellent days at Polk and Judson. I have Mr. Folds here with us tonight. I don't want to make him wait too long. We wanted to update the board on a year-end review of food service from last year. As you know, Mr. Folds has been doing quite a bit of work to improve food services and the choices of, available to students, and to bring in better revenue for the food service program. I think I'll say up front before he even says it, I think we're doing a pretty good job of that, and our students tell me the same when I'm out there in the schools. But Mr. Folds, if you are all set to go, we'll hear from you about the year-end wrap-up from the food service department.
Good evening. I'd like to just talk a little bit about how we finished up last year. Our financial analysis for 2014, 2015. We were able to decrease our food cost percentage from 39 down to 37.8 compared to the previous year, which resulted in a savings of around $24,000. Our payroll costs did increase over the previous year by about $22,000. We were able to maintain almost a constant cost with our repairs and maintenance for the year, and the district operated at a deficit of $36.44 for the school year. Daily averages for lunches served for a comparison from 13-14 to 14-15. Our paid lunches for 14-15 were slightly lower, along with our reduced lunches, which were slightly lower, and our free lunches were higher, which means our percentage of free and reduced kids in the district is rising. We were at about 25% last year. Overall, we served
5% of the children in the district are on free and reduced?
Yes. Yeah. Overall, we served an average of 1,252 lunches every day last year, which is slightly down from the year before, but we're also short, or our enrollment decreased about 70 students for the year. So if you take into consideration our participation increased by about 0.5%. which is the next slide. Lunch participation in 2013-2014 was 43.5%. We increased that to about 44% in 2015 or 14-15. Overall, our lunch participation increased slightly based on our student enrollment, which resulted in an increase in lunches served of about 2,540 for the year. Breakfast. We're still working on our breakfast program. For last year, we did average about 190 per day, with the previous year being 193. But again, if our enrollment adjustments makes it so we actually were serving a higher percentage of kids for the day, per day, than we did the previous year. Breakfast update. The last 3 months of 2014-15, we averaged a little over 210 breakfasts a day. The first 7 months, we averaged about 185, which is an increase of about 25 a day. Right now, 22% of our eligible free and reduced children are getting breakfast every day. Our participation for breakfast for the student population is around 7%. A couple things that we introduced last year, which are helping to increase our participation and giving the children some more offerings that they can go and have breakfast at the high school in Swift. We introduced a fresh fruit smoothie station for breakfast, and we offer freshly made fruit and yogurt smoothies every day at both schools. It's a popular option for the kids, and we're selling about 50 to 60 a day at the high school, and our breakfast time is a little shorter at the middle school, so we're doing about 25 there. And one of the reasons that our breakfast increased for the last 3 months, in March we did a big promotion to try to get the word out to the kids, to try to get more of them to come down and eat breakfast. And we ran several promotions during that week to try to increase our counts. I did some made-to-order breakfast bars at the middle and high school. I spent the day with the kids at Polk and Judson talking about breakfast at lunchtime. We had a special breakfast at Judson, and we did a little coloring thing with the kids at John Trumbull. Oh, all right, now let's go. Hold on, sorry. Okay. Couple lunch program updates. I continue to do a school lunch newsletter, which most of you probably know what it is. I try to do at least 5 of them a year. And in that newsletter, I will go over different things that we've done at the schools, different programs we're trying, and any new information that comes out on our program. So I hope everybody enjoys them. It's fun for us to try different things with the kids to see if we can get them more excited about school lunch. I also do special chef days once a month at both Swift and the high school. It's where I go into the school. Some of you might not be familiar with them, but I go into the school and I'll cook a special meal for the kids, and I will serve them. So I dress up in my chef coat and big hat and go down and talk to the kids and serve food for them. It has turned into one of our most popular lunches. When we do it, we average about 10% more kids per day for that day when I do this. I continue to look for new ideas and different things. We even did a sushi day. I did a sushi day at the high school last year, where I made 4 different rolls for the kids to try, and we went through about 150 rolls. We also did a survey with the kids at the high school to see whether they'd be interested in it, which was kind of fun to see what sort of responses we got from them. The online payment method is turning into an extremely popular method of payment for the families of Watertown. Last year we had 327 families using this option, and over $87,000 was deposited into the accounts through this program. Just in the first 3 weeks of school, we had 203 families use it and 13,000 deposited in just the first 3 weeks. So it is becoming a very popular way of getting money into children's accounts. At the high school, I still do my signature sandwich days, which we started last year. Twice a week, we offer a special fresh-baked hot sandwich, stromboli or calzone, off of our pizza station. We make them fresh every day that we do them, and we sell, depending on whether it's their favorite or not, but somewhere between 100 and 150 items every time we do it, which accounts, when we do average about 400 lunches at the high school, that's almost 45%. We also opened up a panini station at our high school, which we do the other 2 days of the week, where we do a hot, fresh panini off the grill on our sandwich station, which is also very popular. Not quite as popular as the hot lunch sandwich, but they're still getting more and more popular. And we also do what they call a Lucky Tray Day at the elementary school level to try to get the kids excited about their lunch down there. Last year, at the end of the year, we restarted the Wellness Committee. We managed to have one meeting at the end of the year. We will have several more this year, so I'll have more updates in my newsletters for you as to things that we come up with over the course of this year. New items for the 2015-2016 school year. We're looking at some nutritional things, trying to do some different things. We're looking at a fresh fruit cup that we sell at both the middle school and the high school, which is fresh cantaloupe, pineapple, strawberries, grapes, things like that, into a cup that they can buy. We are looking to increase, okay. We are looking to increase our breakfast, and we're trying to find different ways to do that. So I will be doing some chef days, but there'll be breakfast. So I'll be there, and we'll do some. Last year we did some pancake bars. I did an omelet bar, and we're looking for some other things to try to do to see if we can get more children involved in breakfast and trying to do that. A rainbow tray, which is on our back table over there, and anybody here is welcome. This is for things to take, but what it is back there is we are now offering every day at all 5 schools what we call a rainbow tray. And what that is a new way to try and get children to try different fruits and vegetables. This one is a vegetable tray, and every day we offer at least 5 different choices for them to pick from. Part of the government regulations require the students to take at least a half a cup of fruit or half a cup of vegetable every day. What this does is tries to give them something that they might like instead of something they don't like that they have to take. So we now have at least 5 choices of fresh vegetables and at least 5 to 6 choices of fresh fruits or canned fruits during the day. So we're trying to find, at least if they're going to take one, we want them to take something they like so they'll eat it instead of maybe just throwing it away. So that's a new thing for us this year. So we just started the rainbow trays this year. And we're also looking to do with the Wellness Committee, we've talked with them about doing some tasting days and some different things with different items, different vegetables, different snacks, healthy snacks, and other things along that way at the elementary school level. And that's one of the goals of our Wellness Committee for this year. We're also in the process of applying for a grant to help us with one of that, and hopefully we'll get that, and that would be $2,500 to help us buy different products for that. And I also have a Twitter account that I continue to use at the high school. It's Chef Dave at WHS, and I use it every day to notify the students of what we're doing, what we're serving, what's going on, any special days, the chef days, or smoothies of the day, which sandwich we're serving, stuff along that way. And here's just a few pictures of some of the things that we do. Up on the top right, that's me doing one of the chef days down at Swift. A couple children and a couple pictures of the smoothie bar and some of the sandwiches that we do. Any questions or anything that anybody has? I'd be more than happy to help ask or answer.
A couple of questions and talk about the food cost percentage. a little bit. I know that we went down according to your report, 1.2%.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about what you attribute that to, and also, are our cash reimbursements considered before or after you do your food cost?
Well, food cost is generated off of our sales, so we're taking our total sales. So you have to include reimbursements in that sales because it's a huge part of what our fund is. So basically, I take all of our monies from lunch sales, breakfast sales, catering, vending, anything else like that, plus the reimbursements, and then that's worked off of our food costs. So I take our total food cost divided by our sales, and that gives us our
So
percentage.
you do include
Yes. Oh,
special
yeah.
events?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We sort of have to because it's a sale. We're looking for because I'm using food from our kitchens that I'm buying, anything that I use food for, those sales should be included in that. What I attribute to trying to decrease it is, well, we do bid out our food every year. So we're always looking for new products, best price, best product that we can find. I also, every year, will do a menu analysis of what we're serving to make sure that everything that we're serving is in my budgetary guidelines. So I take every meal that we serve and I do a cost analysis for it and see where that total cost comes in. And if something's high, I look at it to see whether we can replace it with something that is a lower cost, but still trying to maintain our product quality. I also do a training with my staff on portion sizing, making sure they're using the right portions for where our budgets are, and also talk about how to control waste in ways of making sure we're cooking for our counts. At the elementary schools, we get lunch counts every day, so that gives us a good idea. They still change their minds when they walk up there, but we try to keep it as close as possible, and working with both the middle and the high school to monitor, since we have so many more options there. I try to monitor, work with them to monitor what they're producing so that we're not wasting food. And that's primarily, for food costs, is my only really adjustable cost. So if I can control that, I can help make money.
I appreciate the work that you're doing to make sure that we're still meeting the nutritional guidelines, but also taking a look at the fiscal side of things.
Okay.
A little bit about last year, the last time you presented, we talked a little bit about the lunchtime periods that are scheduled. Do you think that they have an impact on the amount of children who purchase lunch?
They can. We've had some changes this year, and for the first month for our first month of school, it has not affected our counts that much. The biggest changes we had were at the high school and the middle school. And we are averaging at the high school a little over 400 per day, which is about where we were last year. Some days a little bit higher. And the middle school has actually been even better than it was last year. So they haven't affected us too much there. Where we have been affected slightly was breakfast on the different starting times for our seniors. Sorry. Yep. I moved away from the mic. For a different starting time for our seniors, where it's now a variable time where they can come in. They were a big part of my breakfast program last year, so I've lost some of them, but we are trying to attract a few more that may not know about it, and or may not get there with different things that we're trying. So our counts are back up. They always start off slow. But the last week we were averaging about 190. So we're back to close to where we were at the end of the year. So in the elementary schools, especially John Trumbull, is always slow in the beginning of the year because you're dealing with a whole new group of kindergartners, and mom or dad is making stuff for them, and they haven't got tired of that yet. So, but.
What is the average amount of money that kids will spend for lunch and then for breakfast?
That's a tough one, and I was asked that question this afternoon. It's going to take me a little while to put that together because our system doesn't break it out like that. So I have to go back in and basically pull numbers by month to get it out there. But I also have to include reimbursements in that because it is, if we don't do it that way, you're not looking at a true picture because now you're only saying how much cash came in. With the 600, I think it's 602 right at the moment, free and reduced kids that are in our system, that generates a decent amount of income, and you have to include that. So I just don't have an answer for that right now, but I will have one soon for the board. It was just too much to pull for this afternoon when I got the question.
Just can interrupt for a moment. They're having trouble hearing, so please make sure that
Okay.
all board members and folds.
No problem. Sorry.
And having some issues with the system, so.
It's not you.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other board members have questions for Mr.?
Leslie, through the chair. Dave, I do want to tell you that I do get a report from the food that is eaten, at least from one third grader. And she does come to me and tells me, do you know what I ate today? And I said, no, tell me. And she does describe it. And she said, it's actually good. So what I get from this is that you are making this third grader interested in eating her lunch, which at third grade they're very fussy.
Well,
So, you're
happy
doing
to
a
do
very
that.
good job at this.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Mr. Makowski and then Ms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Foles, first of all, I'd like to second that, having a daughter that just started at Swift. She's thrilled at the choices. And I have to say that for those of you that use social media, when you see some of the pictures that end up online of what school lunches look like across the country, you're knocking it out of the park. So thank you. Just what I'm hearing in my own household and what I'm seeing, it's so nice to see that we've got your commitment and talent helping our students. With that said, I'm curious to know what you're seeing in trends as far as we have certain nutritional requirements that are made, but I hear from others that kids just throw their vegetables away and things like that. Can you talk a little bit about your experience and what you're seeing, the habits of children, and how that impacts your budget and waste and things like that?
Well, waste is a big issue, and part of the problem with the new regulations and requiring them to take things that they weren't required to take before is going to generate waste. Our goal, or what we're trying to do, is to come up with things that they like. And if we can do that, and I can get something that he's going to take or she's going to take that they want to take, most likely they're going to eat it. There is waste when they eat, but it's also their social time. So when they're there, they may start talking too much, and all of a sudden they're being told to leave, and they may not have gotten to all that. So that's part of it too. It's a very challenging thing for us right now. Some of the things they haven't renewed. The federal government has not renewed our Healthy Child Initiative yet. And there has been some discussion on this from the federal level and from groups like the School Nutrition Council or the School Nutrition Association. Some of our vendors are having a tough time trying to formulate things that are meeting some of these guidelines. So we are losing products, which is kind of tough on us because our product base is going away. And I see that trend. If they keep going where they're heading, it may change what we can offer, and that's a shame, I think, because it's what we're offering is, in my mind, a healthy lunch, and I'll stack it up against anybody's lunch that comes that's being packed into my schools. You want to do it nutritionally, I'll do it, and I'll stack mine up against anybody that comes in. But that's going to be one of our more difficult tasks if that happens, and still goes down with some of the other stuff that they're promoting.
Through the chair. I just want to say, I also work in a school, so the fact that you're offering 5 different vegetables and fruits is a great option for them, because I do see a lot of waste too of kids throwing away. So giving them a choice is a great thing. But I just wanted to ask, you said you wanted to trying to increase the amount of students who do. Where do you find that the kids are taking more advantage of it? At elementary school or?
A higher percentage from elementary school. Middle school, we have a tough time. It's just our breakfast time just doesn't fit into the schedule. I mean, we have one in the morning, but once they get into school, we're sort of done with that. At the high school, we have a little bit more flexibility where they have study halls now in the CAF, so they can get breakfast a little bit later during the day. We do a grab and go at John Trumbull and at Polk, where they go to the cafeteria, get a bag, and they will eat that in the classroom. Judson is eating in the cafeteria, so we can do a little bit more with them when they're there. We did a lot of promotions last year. In the packet that went home to all the parents today, I had 2 different letters on breakfast, trying to make the people aware that once they're eligible for that, they can get it. It's a difficult process, because we can't identify, you just go out and say, look, you can come get lunch or you can come get breakfast. We can't do it that way. So we have to get the parents to want to try it. And it's a difficult process.
Well, I just have a comment. I was just a little surprised. I don't know if you can even comment. I don't really want to put you on the spot, but I just thought it was the amount of children getting free or reduced lunch is a little bit high. And
I'm sorry.
I thought that the amount, the percentage, you said it was about 25% or something, get a free
24%.
reduced lunch. It just seemed to me to be kind of high for Watertown, Oakville situation. And I didn't think it
Want me
would
to
be.
speak to that?
I would have guessed that it would be more like 10 or
Dave?
10%, 15%.
You want me to speak
No.
to that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it has been over 20 since I've been
Yeah.
here. So for the past 3 years, it's been over 20.
And it has crept up a little bit,
Yes.
but it's by federal guidelines and submitting
Yeah,
incomes that federal guidelines to so on. So we have no dog in the show, if you will, except taking the information in, doing the numbers, and sending in the numbers to the federal government.
And I'd like to add to that, Jim, in the state of Connecticut, for last fiscal year, 1 in 7 kids are below the poverty line. So considering where the state is, and there's certain cities where that
numbers
increase
way
is
up, but there's some that it's low.
way up, but that considered our percentages, right?
I mean, even going down to, Greenwich and things. And Greenwich is, the last I heard, and I'm not positive on this, but the last time I was talking to the person in Greenwich, they were at about 6%. And that's Greenwich. So, I mean, it's changing.
Yeah.
It's slightly changing, and it's getting tougher and tougher for them out there, too.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Gould?
You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Dave. Before I move on, just very quickly, I want to take a minute, Diane, and say again, congratulations. I had the distinct pleasure of being one of the people who was able to let Diane Bigham know that she was Watertown's Paraprofessional of the Year right back, feels like it was yesterday, right? But it was the end of last school year, and we showed up at John Trumbull and the way Diane responded, it was like the Publishers Clearinghouse truck had come. And I was so happy to be able to recognize you, Diane, because I have seen firsthand some of the work that you do, and we really do appreciate everything that you do. Even if you're not going to be the State Paraprofessional of the Year, you made it very far in the process. Diane made it to the top 10, which is not easy to do. Moving on, we have on the agenda this evening a request for 2-use clothing bins by the PTO at Swift Middle School. As you know, we have some of these bins already in existence. They are at Polk and they are at Judson. The Swift Middle School PTO has now asked to do the same. Because I was unsure that everyone would know what we were talking about, I at least brought some photos for the board to see. I'll just kind of pass them in both directions. As for the location, all we can say tonight is an estimate of where we believe that it will end up being, because what happens is the company doesn't even come out until they know they will have approval to place any bin on the property. So I brought it to you in advance of the company coming out. They come out, survey the area, and tell us where it might be best, as they meet with the principal. That said, we then have input if we don't think that the area they're saying to put it in is the best spot. For example, we don't want the clothing bin to be at the entrance at Swift. There's already enough traffic that comes in and out of there. We already have issues. We don't want to clog that up any further. Just so that you're aware also, I know we talked about this in the past, but to bring it up again because this is a new request, we have a deal with both the PTO and it's put in writing once we move forward with the company, that if the bins become any trouble, by trouble I mean people are coming by and leaving stuff outside instead of putting them in the bin, or there's any other ugliness associated with having the bin on the property, we call and they pick it up, and that's the end of the deal with the company. We haven't had any such trouble at Polk or at Judson. That has been brought to me, and I think it would have been. See, principals shaking their heads no. So it's an easy way that the PTO brings in a little bit of extra money at the school, and we get people to donate to a good cause. So given that it is being put on school grounds, though, I wanted to make sure that we brought it before the board. Do you have any questions of me about that?
I would like to say that the ones at the other schools, every time I've gone to drop off clothes, they've been completely clear of any litter or any donation bags. I've never seen them at any time look like the ones might in other stores around town. We're quite fortunate.
Madam Chair, I would also like to share that the PTO overseeing this are extremely particular on the representation that these have, and so they're very particular to make sure, and if there are any issues, they contact the vendor very quickly. But
Also, a very creative way to help fund the PTOs, help support the programs that we do in schools. So, very happy now that SWIFT will potentially be able to join that effort. Anything else, Dr. Carmona?
That's it tonight. Thank you.
Okay, we come to our first round of public participation. Would any members of the public like to address the board this evening? I'll ask one more time. Do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? Okay, seeing none, I will move on to the chair report. In the interest of time for the present company this evening, I am going to publish my chair report on both Facebook and Twitter later on this evening. So we're going to move on to item J, committee reports. Mrs. Rinaldi, do you have anything from curriculum and instruction? Okay, thank you. From policy and labor, Mr. Vincenzi.
No report.
Budget and finance, Mr. Lambert.
No report at this time.
And back to you again for facilities and operations.
Report.
Okay, Mr. Makowski, governance and community engagements.
no report at this time.
Thank you very much. Madam Secretary, do you have anything to report on behalf of the board? Call our attention to our action items, Agenda L. Consideration of the approval of an out-of-state field trip to Hershey, Pennsylvania. Board members received the information on the field trip in their packet. Do any board members have any questions at this time? Okay, seeing none, I'd ask for a motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve of the out-of-state field trip to Hershey, Pennsylvania for 65 Watertown High School students and 5 chaperones from May 20th, 2016 to May 22nd, 2016 for the purpose of participating in the Music in the Parks Adjudication Festival.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Thank you, Mr. Vincenzi. Any questions or discussions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Moving on to action item 2, consideration of the approval to place 2 used clothing bins at Swift Middle School as part of the fundraising opportunity for the parent-teacher-student organization. We have a motion?
Yeah, Madam Chair, I move that the board approve to place 2 used clothing bins at Swift Middle School as part of a fundraising opportunity for the Swift PTSO.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Markowski. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Congratulations to the Swift PTSO on that. Moving on to agenda item N, our last round of, item M, future agenda items and board member comments. Do any board members wish to make any suggestions for future agenda items at this time? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move to item N, our last round of public participation. Do any members of the public wish to address the board this evening? And I'll put it out there one more time. Do any members of the board, of the public wish to address the board this evening? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Lambert. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carried.
Again, there's cake, coffee for Diane, please, even if you
Please join
can't
us
stay with
outside for
us, take a
reception.
piece of cake to move on with if you like. There's certainly enough.
And a rainbow selection of vegetables.